good morning or good afternoon or wherever you are in listening land. I'm Anne-Marie Concepcion from Creative Pro Week, and I am so excited to introduce you to Jole Simmons. That's Jole, just to be different, not Joel. Jole Simmons, the presentation guy. Joel is broadcasting from Oakland, his
I'm
hometown.
actually in South San Francisco. Sorry about that.
Okay,
should have told
South
you I
San
moved.
Francisco. Oh, you did? Okay, that's cool. So are you like in Soma or something like that?
No, I'm near the airport, actually. A little bit
All right.
south of San Francisco.
Okay, you're at Sfoma. You're at the SFO. That's the neighborhood.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, so Joel is a presentation designer, client whisperer, a man of many talents, and spoke at Creative Pro Week in New Orleans last year. And we're really excited he'll be back again in Seattle this June. So, Joel, do you want to just give us a little capsule biography of where you came from and how you got into this?
Sure. I was a graphic designer by trade, pretty run-of-the-mill graphic designer, I would consider myself. I was looking for a way to kind of set myself apart, so I just started doing presentations kind of early on, and really had a knack for it and became kind of an expert at it. Mm-hmm. For a temp agency, and they would send me out, and I would be I would be the presentation guy that they would send out. Which is where the name came from. I was like,
I
see. Presentation guy.
Get the presentation guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We need the presentation guy to come in. So that really started setting me apart. And the good thing about that is I could use my presentation or my graphic design background and totally translate that into presentations, which I do to this day.
Okay.
So I have worked at a couple of big places. I've worked at Facebook. I've worked at Skype. I've worked at Microsoft. Done work for a bunch of clients from Google to just everybody in Silicon Valley.
Right.
I stayed busy.
Your specialty is designing presentations, but when you say the presentation guy, does that mean that they also wanted you to present? Do you present as well?
No, that is kind of a new thing after doing Creative Pro Week last year. That this is brand new. And so now I'm becoming.
So you were sort of like, you were the stagehand, the set designer, who's suddenly been brought on to be the lead male role in the play, kind of thing?
I was the roadie. Yeah, I was the Led Zeppelin roadie that, and Jimmy Page broke his hand and said, so I need somebody to play guitar. And so I can play guitar.
There you go. That's excellent. That's good. Well, I know that your presentation was very well received at Creative Pro Week. So tell us a little bit about like your philosophy of doing presentations. What was it that made you so valuable, that makes you so valuable to those big companies like, Google and whoever, and little companies? I mean, that sets you apart, and that, what's your philosophy of that?
I think it's literally keeping it simple. It's literally just having enough restraint to not cram all the stuff on one slide. And it seems like the easiest thing in the world, but that's the biggest advice I can give, is just keep it simple. And all that text that you want to put on that slide, take all that, put it in your speaker notes, and put something pretty there. Put something nice on that screen that people want to see, and keep big points there. But everything else, you want to get that off the slide.
Okay.
And I think everybody is tempted to want to put everything on that slide, and I think I'm just good enough to be like, nope.
That's right. Like an Instagram story with all the animated GIFs and hashtags and stuff. Not that way. Just very simple, mainly text, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's
there's a time and place to cram your slide. There's a time and place to put a whole bunch on there, but try not to.
Okay. All right. So, what is your poison of choice? Keynote or PowerPoint, or something else?
Keynote, really? Always.
Why is that?
Yes. Simplicity. It just makes everything look so much better. The movement is smooth, and it's actually just fun to use. I mean, I don't know why. I can just jump in there, create something, and just be done with it. And PowerPoint, usually have to, even though I've used PowerPoint my whole life, I worked for Microsoft. I was to kind of hunt and try to figure things out. How do I do this?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Keynote's they figured it out somehow.
Ah, interesting. I'm much more familiar with PowerPoint than I am with Keynote. And
Yeah.
though, I'm very familiar, obviously, with Apple products. I've been using a Mac for 30 years, and I
Sure.
use Pages and there are other apps like that. But um, with Keynote, isn't one of its claim to fames to be the ability to add animations to the slides? But you're saying don't add
Yes.
animations?
No, no, no. On the contrary, I'm an
Okay.
huge animation fan. I think
Ah,
there's one thing to cram a whole bunch of stuff on your slide, but I'm a
okay.
fan of animations for sure.
Okay.
I think there's always a time and place for animation, and I think that's really why I do like Keynote, because the animations are so smooth and they're just elegant, and they just
Okay.
make even just a boring chart about financials, you can make it just look
Uh-huh.
like this elegant revolving thing. In PowerPoint it would
Really
be jerky and you have to figure it out, or it might have to go on After Effects and make something and import it. But
interesting.
yeah, Keynote is the way.
So, like, what are a couple of your go-to animations when you're doing slides? Like, how do you make a financial chart interesting with an animation?
Good question. I learned early on that you can animate in Power. You can Keynote animate
Okay.
PowerPoint as well.
I
Keynote,
think
literally,
I
there
think
are
wait,
these
wait, wait. Hang on.
literally these revolving things.
I
Oh,
think that our internet connection is kind of breaking up a little bit. So
oh,
can you take that
okay,
again? And yeah, it's a little
sure.
jumpy. Um, and I guess everybody right now is doing a Facebook Live on Thursday. So that's the problem. Maybe we should switch to like
Of course.
Sunday mornings or something. But
I
try
think
that.
so.
Can you say that one more time
Yeah.
about how to animate financial data?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So Keynote has, I learned early on that you can animate charts in Keynote. So literally you can, if you have this existing chart, you can put the data in and you can have this chart literally rotate and like
Oh, really?
pop up, just little things like that. You can do all these little, just random little things in there and just minutia and just animate different bars and things like that. And, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's a bar chart. Usually it just would just be like, here's bar chart. But just to
Right.
be able to have something rotate and animate and come in, it's just, and Keynote does that for you. And it makes you look like you're, a god.
All right, got it. Well, so say that I'm presenting and I have a financial chart, and then can I control it when I'm animating it? Can I say, uh, now look at it another way, and then it like turns around 180 degrees? Or do
Hmm.
I just run the animation and then it stops? I've never used those features.
Good question. Usually it just will stop. It'll animate and stop. But the thing
Okay.
is, kind of my philosophy on if you were a client and you said, "Hey, I really like this chart to animate and rotate in and
Uh-huh.
then rotate back," it would be my job to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
So that's one of my
That's right.
philosophies is
That's
there.
what I'm paying you for. There you
Yeah,
go.
you're paying me. Hey, you really want this chart? So I'd have to figure out a way to make that happen. I try to never say that's not possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sure there's a way to do that. I just don't know how.
All right. In your presentation that you did last year, Secrets of Presentation Design for Silicon Valley, I think it was, you talked about
Mhm.
finding a story, which I thought was very interesting, to make your presentation a story with a beginning and a conflict and a resolution. So what kind of conflict? How would you set up
Yes.
a conflict in a presentation?
Good question. And sometimes it's not literally a conflict.
Okay.
But say we're company X and we have a new competitor in the workspace or in the a new competitor, and they're coming in and trying to take all our business.
Okay.
So that's kind of the story there. So you have the beginning is the what. We have this company that's coming in. The conflict is like, what do we do? Do we do we do we ramp up production, or do we move manufacturing to Asia? Like whatever you decide. And
Yeah.
then resolution of the story would be how we fix it, and then how we that the call to action kind of at the end. So you can almost make anything into a story with story format.
Yes.
But literally, Nancy Duarte and I don't
Oh
have
yeah.
her. Sorry.
That's
Yes,
okay.
Nancy Duarte. I keep her books very close. I have
Oh
Resonate
yeah.
here and
Uh-huh.
Slideology. I have them here. You see, I have
Yep.
bookmarks in here. I use them all the time.
Yes.
She is the master of storytelling and great stuff in
Yeah.
there. Literally to turn any. She'll go into like Star Wars and talk about look at how Luke went on this journey, and it's like the
Yes.
same thing for anything. So
Absolutely.
I
That's right.
highly recommend. Yeah,
Yeah,
highly recommend.
I have her books too. And I
Yeah,
liked how she was talking about the speeches, the famous speeches that people give, how they, develop a cadence of
yes,
first this and then that and then this. And she drew parallels between, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Lincoln. And
yeah.
it was powerful and kind of hard to, translate that to explaining how grep styles work in InDesign, but I'll figure that out one day. All
We'll work on
right,
that.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's good. So, what are you going to be talking about in Seattle?
In Seattle, I am doing 2 sessions. I'm up from 1 session last year. I'm doing two.
Got promoted.
Uh, yeah, I've got promoted. Not bad, right? I think the first one is designing drool-worthy, drool-worthy presentations. Just drool a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Drool-worthy presentations, and the second one is forgot what it's called, but like creating awesome animations or something like that.
Well, excellent.
Yes, so I'm still creating the content for that, but if you went last year and you saw me make my toast,
That was.
I made toast pop
Hang on
up.
a minute. Hang on. Alexa thinks that you're talking to her. Hang on.
Oh, wait. Does my Alexa?
All
I
right.
think mine
No,
does
that was
too.
mine.
So it is
Alexa
yours?
said,
Okay.
"Sorry, I didn't catch that." I
Yeah,
had
she's
to
probably
turn
gonna
them
buy you
off.
toast now. She's gonna order you toast, a
That's right.
toaster or something.
There you go. I'm sorry to
But
take you off
yes,
track. Go
last year
ahead.
I really. Oh, you're fine. I thought that was my Alexa. I heard it too. Don't say anything. Yeah, last year I did some really cool. I made toast. I forgot what else did I do. I did some cool things last year. So I'm trying to top myself this year
Ah,
with some interesting things. So
okay.
if anybody has any suggestions, anything you want to see, like say I want to see a race car driving on Mars, like let me know. I will
Okay.
make it happen.
All right.
Any challenge you give me, I can do it.
All right.
And
How about this? I want to see a picture of my daughter on a package. Is there any way that you can do something like that?
I think I could if I just
Do you have any
reached
examples of
out
that?
like that, and then I just took out my. Oh, I just happen to have this here.
Ah, yes.
My
That's your daughter,
daughter,
Mia.
my daughter is on a box of toys, which is amazing.
So
Green
cute.
toys, build a bouquet. It's at
Uh-huh.
Amazon. It's
That is
awesome.
so
I love
cute.
her. She's great. It's my little girl right
Yes.
there. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Good for
plug.
you. Of course, of course. I saw that before. I just happened. Yeah, that was interesting.
I know.
I have an ethical question
Yes.
for you. I'm curious about this because I'm recalling now when part of my business I used to do a lot of slides. I had a big company. They were called US Robotics. They used to be the main manufacturer of modems way back in the day, and they're up
Okay.
here by I'm in Chicago. They were in Skokie,
Mhm.
and when they were about to go public, they asked me to do all the slide presentations for their, I guess, the roadshow. And one of
Mhm.
their employees said, when they showed revenue growth, asked, is there any way that we can make this year's revenue growth look more impressive? So, they weren't asking me to, lie about the numbers or anything, but was there a way to highlight it? So, for example, instead of starting the scale at 0 up to $1 million, you might start the scale at 750,000 to $1 million, so that makes it look increased.
Yes.
Have you ever been asked to do things like that, and how do you respond?
I haven't been asked to necessarily fudge any.
No.
I don't even. Yeah, I think it's kind of the data is presented. I think it's not like the chart has been doctored. As long as you show on that chart, where it's starting and it's clear. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I am trying to think if I've ever been asked to do anything that was just kind of like strictly unethical, and I don't think even
That's
the
right.
hundreds.
Maybe I think I
Yeah.
might have misspoke. I don't mean unethical. I guess I mean,
Okay.
how do
I'm
you
sorry.
how do you point up? No, I think I said it. How do you point up a part of a financial chart to make it appear more positive than it is at first glance? Like, do you make the final bar all sparkly and animation and everything else is dull gray? Or do you make the piece of pie come out and have a drop shadow and nothing else? Or
I definitely
is that
think
something? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I definitely think, making your, I would probably make my bar or our financial year, the color, our company color or something like that, or maybe put our logo on it or something and make, like you said, make the other ones dull and gray because we don't care about those as competitors
Yes.
or other years or that we're not concerned about. Sometimes what I'll do is I will do like a zoom in or like maybe like a kind of like a magnifying glass, like going into that bar and then showing like the number really big and bold or something like that. Just trying to make it exciting. Just trying to. It's tough to make a chart look exciting, but that's what we do.
What about when you have a lot of text? I mean, are you a fan of bullet points, or should we get rid of them completely?
Oh. There is a time and place for bullet points. I am so anti-bullet point, but I use them every day. I still have a day job and I use bullet points every day. I try to not use them. A big thing will do is, there's a lot of slide types where usually there's like 3 ideas. It's like, if you think about it, when you're presenting something, a slide might be like 3 big points and usually be 3 big points and a whole bunch of stuff for each one.
Yeah.
What I will do is take the 3 big points and just put them in boxes, maybe just 3 boxes next to each other, just text, and maybe animate this. And so, the first thing we need to focus in is financials, and that box will come in, and you talk about that. But then again, all that supporting text will be in the speaker notes. So it's literally like just this slide with 3 boxes, not all this whole bunch of sub bullets and bullets, and that way the audience is focusing on the 3 things. They're focusing on the presenter. They're not reading, oh, I see. Oh yeah, he's right there. He's reading.
Right.
Yeah.
When is he going to come? When is he going to get to this part? Because I'm in a hurry. I hope he speaks fast.
Third bullet. That's the one I want to. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, which is why animation is such a big deal, because even if you do have a big bulleted list like we all have seen, and you still want to use that, animate that stuff in so people aren't like reading ahead. I read ahead. I'll skip to the bottom. I'm like, oh, what's at the bottom?
Right. Yes.
Click those things in.
That's interesting. It's so funny, the world of presentations. I have to tell you, sometimes I get into this rant with people about how when I went to college and the teachers were speaking in front of a big lecture hall, history of the U.S., 1860 to the present or something like that, they didn't have any slides. They just spoke. They had their notes and they spoke, and you took notes if necessary, and that's how you learned, and that's what you were given an exam on. There were no slides. So why is everybody doing slides? I mean, even in elementary school, the kids are doing slides for their talks. What can a slide bring that why does it have to be there? What happened? What if somebody just gave a talk with no slides? What would we lose?
I don't know what we would lose, and I see why it used to be like that. You were paying attention to the teacher, and that's it.
And it was also very hard to make slides. You had to send them to a film processor, have a slide projector. It was a big pain, right?
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah, I think first of all, I think we are very, we're an ADD society. I hate to use that term, but we are all over the place. We're looking at all these devices. We're constantly looking for something else. I've been distracted 6 times since we've been on this call, looking at something. I'm trying to focus on you. But I think people need something to look at, quite honestly, when they're presenting. It's like, I think it's almost like a passive way. You're listening, you're hearing it, but if whatever's on the screen is accompanying it as more of a compliment and not just regurgitating exactly what you're saying, I think it really helps.
Yeah.
Because if it's distracting, you're really paying attention to the screen and not the presenter. So I think it should be more as a compliment. These things should kind of work together more than, just, I mean, why even be up there if it's the exact same thing on the slide, right? I mean,
absolutely right. So which goes back to your point of do not put your session outline as a slide, because then what's the point of you reading it aloud? Which
Exactly.
is also a pet peeve of mine, and that should be a speaker note. It should not be on the slide, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Use those notes, guys.
To do a
Use
compliment. Now, you know, I'm sure you know Seth Godin. Is that how you pronounce his last name? You've seen or heard of Seth Godin, the marketing guy?
Sounds familiar. Don't test me on it. Don't quiz me.
I want Seth Godin, Godin. He is a big marketing guru and a nice guy, fascinating blog. And he one time talked about doing slides, the best way to do slides. And he had the same philosophy, you know, don't put up your speaker notes. But he went the opposite tact of what I recall my college professors doing, which is he would do, say, 500 slides for a 10-minute talk. And each slide was a word, an image, 2 words, big word, then 1 image, 4 images, then this rapid fire that I guess he would just keep pressing his little button as he's talking. And that was the kind of slides that he was doing at least 10 years ago, when I saw that. Have you ever seen that or done that?
No, I have not. That would seem hard to do as a presenter.
I would think so, yeah.
No, but it seems effective, though. I could see that being pretty cool. It's kind of almost like having this running video kind of thing.
Right.
Or, it seems cool. I've never done that, though.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll add as a comment after, to this recording, a link, if I can find it now, to that slide presentation that he did. It was a little Clockwork Orange, though, watching it, because the guy's talking and you keep seeing things flash behind him. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't put that idea in my head, because maybe when I come to click, I'll be doing crazy presentations like that. Hello, my name is Jole Simmons.
That's right. Joel, really big. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Okay,
all right.
Do that.
So, if somebody wants to reach you and they have questions, do they do it to joel@presentationguy.com? Is that your email? I don't even know what it is.
Yes, you can do it. Joel Presentation Guy. Yep. You can also reach me at joel.simmons@gmail. You can reach me on Twitter, Pres Guy, Instagram.
Right. That's good.
I'm also. Oh, and I have to plug. I have a really successful course on LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com.
Yes. I'm in the middle of watching it. It's excellent.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you watched it.
Yeah.
It's been really well received, and people all over the world, they reach out all the time. People in Egypt are like, I love your presentation. I'm like, in Egypt? You're watching this?
What is the name of the course?
I believe it is Silicon Valley. What is it?
I have it. Wait.
You have it?
Hang on a minute. It is, where'd it go? PowerPoint, Silicon Valley Presentation Secrets.
That's the one. That's what
it. Learn how to create dazzling and effective PowerPoint presentations. Pick up slide design techniques used by presentation designers at cutting-edge Silicon Valley companies. Yes, and it's intermediate level, so you better know some beginning PowerPoint, apparently.
Yeah.
And now, when are you going to do your keynote one?
when am I going to?
Yeah, your keynote one. You did one on PowerPoint.
Oh, I know. They're kind of big on doing PowerPoint. I'm still working on them doing Keynote. I think there's more people in the world that use PowerPoint, so probably, I think they're still trying to figure it. But I'm like, people use Keynote.
Right. Well, maybe it has something to do with PowerPoint as Microsoft and LinkedIn as Microsoft, possibly. But is Keynote's not available for Windows, is it?
No, it's just Apple only, unfortunately.
I don't know what's wrong with those people. Really, like I'm making EPUBs or ebooks, and the software to upload it to the Apple iBookstore only runs on Macintoshes. So if you want to publish something on the iBookstore, you have to have a Mac. Isn't that weird? Yeah, it's not a browser; it's an application. Yeah, but anyway, we'll look for your. I'm sure that LinkedIn will want to do a keynote show from you, because they have other keynote titles as well.
Yeah, I'll work on them.
Okay, good. In the meantime, Joe, I think our connection's kind of breaking up a bit. It's getting kind of tired. We've probably used up the bandwidth, and it needs a rest, I think.
I think we did, yeah.
All right.
But it's great chatting with you today.
Yeah,
Awesome.
same here. I wanna get this though. We always end with one tip. Is there a special tip for Keynote or PowerPoint that you'd like to share, or a keyboard shortcut?
Oh, good question. Oh, this is a hardball question here. A tip. I will say this is not a good tip
It's
though.
hard to choose just one, but go ahead.
It,
Any tip.
it is. I'm gonna fail here.
Okay. If you want to think about it, that's fine.
I, no, I will just say this is
Yes.
not. I'm phoning it in, quite honestly. But um, I think every deck should have consistent transitions between each slide. So,
Okay.
and I usually do a 0.7 second transition
Ah.
fade on every, and it just gives it a nice little, like a little
Oh yeah.
whisper between, just because a lot of people don't put like if you, a lot of people just have it just click and it just
Right.
I
Right.
like a nice little whisper between each slide. That's just a little thing, and it's not really a tip, but
I
it
like it
gives you,
though. No, I think it's an
yeah.
excellent tip. That's cool. So you
Oh,
sort
okay.
of like have them fade out 0.7 seconds
Yes,
before the
but
next one
very
appears.
it's not too. If you do it too slow, it's like next slide, but you want it to be like next slide. There's a difference between next slide.
Got it. Okay. I completely understand you. That's great. I'm going to check that out. All right. Well,
Yes,
thank you so much, Joel, for joining me in today's Facebook Live extravaganza. Very much looking forward to seeing you in Seattle the
yes,
week of June 10th to the 14th. And I guess there'll be a few other people there too joining us.
yeah. I
Um,
can't wait.
yeah,
What's
it's
good,
great.
buddy? Mark Heaps.
That's right. Mark Heaps, the
Yep.
hero. Yes, he's
Yes,
wonderful. We love Mark. Cool.
yes. I'm looking
And
forward
lots of
to.
other great speakers too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm looking forward to going to the market and throwing a fish to you and catching a fish from you. Maybe we could do
All
that.
right. Is that
Can we
is
do
that a
that?
Seattle thing? The
That's a
throwing of the
Seattle
fish?
thing. Yeah, we gotta look. You gotta. I'll send you some clips. It's a
Okay.
thing.
I
You
have
throw
not
this
heard of
big
that.
fish and you catch the fish. I don't
Uh-huh.
know.
All right,
We're,
cool. Well,
we're gonna
thanks for the
do it.
heads up because that would have taken me by surprise.
Wait, why is he throwing a fish at me?
All right. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you
Talk to you
so
soon.
much. All right.
Okay.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
See ya. Bye.